Hi, Peacock.
Hey Peacock, how you doing?
I'm doing good. We're back again on this podcast.
We sure are, and I'm super excited because we're picking up where we left off. If some of our listeners were watching our social media, we had a live and we got to introduce our new partner. I'm really excited. I know, Sandy, you're really excited to introduce to our listeners Kesha Hughes from the Grace and Wisdom Institute. Kesha, hi.
Hello, hello. How are you all?
We're
We're
doing
doing
great, and we're
great.
even super happy to have you with us. I know we're going to continue our conversation, and today it's about how we met, how we became partners in this endeavor, how our missions align. More importantly, talk about the details of what our project entails and what our students can look forward to. So I'm really glad to have you on and joining us on this podcast. And, for the followers that didn't get a chance to listen to our live, I want you to introduce yourself, give us a little bit of your background, tell us about how this all started, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you all. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate you having me and getting the opportunity to share the story. It's a really wonderful way that we met, and I'm so excited that we are working together. I'm Kesha Hughes, Kesha Knighten Hughes, and I'm the founder and director of the Grace and Wisdom Institute. I am a wife and a mother of teenagers, and I've always been a very avid, active parent involved in the lives of my children and the community of children in which I help to serve. We have realized some serious gaps that I had actually been technically researching since probably 2008. And just looking at the kids in our communities and just kind of asking the question about what are the kids going to be like that my kids are going to be grown-ups with? What's going on in their houses? What are they learning? Private school versus public school, like what are we getting here? Are we making sure we got diversity? Okay, so what are the kids learning from this ethnicity, this, and so kind of collecting all that in my efforts to do my best job. I found that there's a serious gap, particularly with teenagers who are getting ready to launch, and the Grace and Institute was created to help them with enrichment and life skills development because our friends in higher education said they're not ready. They're bringing them to us and they're releasing them into the world and they're falling apart because they're not ready.
Oh, their little
We hear
wings are
you.
not ready to fly. They're just falling from the nest.
Yeah, the feathers look pretty good, but do they function properly? And so that's what we really are aiming to fix and at minimum enhance. So that's what we really are aiming to fix and at minimum enhance.
We've talked about this in the past that even though, they're being let go to school and to, attend institutions, they're not like our generation. Our
Right.
generation was most definitely the figure it out generation. So even if your wings were not fluffy or were not strong enough, oh well, you'll figure it out. But this generation doesn't have that. And so we are missing something along the way in the preparation or whatever we do as parents to prepare them for that next step. And that's, where we both come in.
Uh, it's generational, and so what we're finding is that it's all income levels. This is a generational issue. It's not only students from a certain demographic who
No.
less fortunate at risk. The risk is that they don't know how to function fundamentally. Let's take everything away. Like if all the lights go out, if the internet's off for a week, what are we going to do?
We've talked about that. I mean, I think everything you mentioned hit a certain point of how we even started, right? For us, it's the same thing. Our kids were the students that were in their bedrooms for junior and senior year of high school. Now, adding on top of all the gaps that you just mentioned, now we threw on a pandemic. And that's made an impact that we still to this day don't realize how much of an impact. The long-term effects, we're going to see them, way down the road. But Sandy and I were thinking, we're not waiting down the road. These are our kids. How are they going to be able to survive in society? I think, for us, when we were growing up, generational wise, it was a little bit different. Environment was different. We didn't have so much technology. Now, I'm not going to want to, crumb on the technology because, of course, technology helps us with a lot of things, right? But it's also put little things where, because it's so easy, it made things so easy, we've stopped using some of the critical thinking skills. And
Absolutely.
so as you're mentioning, exactly what you're saying, I'm like, this is where we're coming. I see the stories coming together and I love to see it. That's why we were so excited when we met you. We're all members of the BRA Network, the Business Relationship Alliance. And that is where we all connected through, Carrie Murray and Crystal. I was going to say Crystal Creative, but that's her Instagram name. I see names on Instagram and that's how I remember people, but definitely we are so wholeheartedly appreciative of the fact that they made us the connection for us because our missions are so well aligned. We knew we needed to do something. We just didn't know how. We started our program piloting with our own kids. So we started, by taking what was going to be a 2-week, I don't want to call it vacation, but it was going to be an immersion program to Spain, which ended up at 6 weeks, right? And it was really an opportunity to watch our kids. We were trying to figure out what do they need? How do we need to help them? And it was all the life skills that your organization is already serving. And
Mhm.
so I want you to share what programs can students that are thinking about, what is the Grace and Wisdom Institute? What kind of services, what kind of workshops, what do you offer the students that are interested in learning more about your organization?
So what we offer, and I would say this is, we want teens to come, but parents need to send their teens because teens are unaware of some of the skills that they are going to need down the line. So what we offer are basic life 101 skills like balancing your checkbook, financial literacy. We do things for coping skills. We do community service, which is where you kind of get to do an array of them. You have leadership, you have team building, you have organizational skills, and then you have community awareness. We also offer critical thinking projects and opportunities for students to think a little bit more about how to solve a problem, how to create an initiative. We also have civic engagement. We really think it's important for our students to really understand the value of their right to not just vote, but to know what policies are and how to actually make changes within the policy space. So, within all of those, they also get professional and career development.
Amazing. Amazing. Sandy, do you ever recall having an organization like that growing up? I know.
No. I mean, nothing.
I know. I
We
was
were
like,
we were like little cave people surviving in the 80s. I mean, I
I
don't know how
mean,
we survived. We were just having a conversation yesterday about, how we're so lucky we survived, period.
Mhm.
Like how many kidnappings did we miss? Or, just the things that we went through. I mean, we used to have, what was it called? The class we used to have in high school, home economics. Apparently
home economics.
they used to show you how to balance a checkbook, but I think it was more geared towards women. And
Yeah.
but I never took it because I was on the program for college bound, so those classes were not
Mhm.
classes they offered magnet students or college core kids. So but even though I didn't take it, I think I missed some stuff that I
Mhm.
think would have been very helpful. I wish there was a program like the Grace Institute when I was growing up. It would have really filled in a lot of the gaps and I
Oh,
wouldn't
yeah.
have to hit so many roads along the way. I could have just, skip right through them.
A lot of the kids who we have classes with, either during the workshops or at the end, they go, "How come they don't teach this at school?" They say that consistently over and over, and they're kind of irritated. Like, why aren't we learning this? Why aren't we learning this? Why aren't we
But that's
learning
real
this?
life. That's real life. I remember I was in high school. I already had been accepted to UC Santa Cruz, and my teacher, my I was algebra 2, I'm not really good at math. I just don't have, I'm more of an artsy person. I was really good in languages and art, but just when it came to math, it just didn't click. And my teacher wanted to fail me. And I said, listen, I'm going to college and I need you to pass me. And she said to me,
Mhm.
I'm going to pass you because you got no business in math. And I know you're going to be great when you grow up. So I want you to sit in the back of the class and just shut up, turn in your homework, and I'm going to give you a C. And I was like,
Wow.
done deal, girl. And I'm like, I was already
Wow, that's
negotiating in high
interesting.
It
school
is
like a
interesting.
businesswoman. I should have taken some business classes, right?
Right,
But my teacher
But
must
right.
have
nobody
seen
told you
something
that.
in me.
Nobody told you were
Exactly.
negotiating.
And
She saw
she
that
didn't fail me.
negotiation skill.
Exactly. And she didn't fail
See,
me.
I
Thank
mean,
you, Miss Lou, for not failing me. But yes, but those are the things, like they should be classes about real life taxes, how to prepare your taxes, how to balance a
Oh
checkbook,
man,
oh,
right? How to
can
oh,
you
negotiate your
imagine?
salary. Yeah.
no. I mean, and I think that, for us, our mission, to help the next generation, there's so many components about what we went through and what we see that your organization is providing. We're like, I wish we would have had a Grace and Wisdom Institute,
Yeah.
growing up. My route was a little different. I like to say that I took the scenic route. So
Mm,
I graduated high school. We did not have any, I went to private school. We did not have any of those skill left life lessons, none of that stuff. But because I became a wife and I became a mom very early on, I had to learn quickly, how do you balance a checkbook? How do you go deposit? How do you write a money order? I know I'm dating myself right now.
Wow.
People will be like,
Wow, dude.
Liliana, money order? But that was reality for me. And so, but for me, it's always been about, how do I tell this generation that, for a lot of people, when I announced that I was getting married and I was having a child, everybody kept saying, "Oh, you're done. You're not gonna." And I want to tell those individuals right now going through whatever decision they've made that it's not over. I
yes.
want them to know that you can still have a fulfilling life, because I went one route, Sandy went another route, and here we are, right? But at the end of the day, we're still committed to making a difference. So my message always is, don't worry about it. I don't think there's ever failures in life. They're just lessons, and you just keep moving. And so, meeting you was it was heaven sent. It was really God sent, because I thought, wow, here's an individual that understands exactly the gaps that students are experiencing, and she's filling them a little by little. And all along, you had already thought about having a global program,
Yes.
right? Okay, so let's talk about that. You started with, providing the life skills, financial literacy, all this good stuff. Where did the global come in?
Okay, so I'm sitting one day, and I think it was pandemic because you're sitting on that computer, you got all kinds of ideas coming
Oh
through.
yeah.
These are even my trusty these glasses had a lot of ideas behind them. So I started cracking out logos for programs. I see this thing, I see this thing. You can do a global. Ooh, Gawi Global. And then I created a logo for it, and Gawi GYN. And I was just and I said, okay, so I'll just put them in a file. And now I know I have some goals, like, right? I have some benchmarks. And every year it's in my mind, and I'm thinking about looking for, is there an organization that I even could, talk to or to follow to see, are they doing things specifically designed for young people? And then incorporating, how are they incorporating travel with some kind of learning component with young people, but still fun and life changing? So here you all come, and I wasn't even, it came from came from here. It wasn't even in an active search. It was, that's the ongoing antenna that was up. But honestly, you guys just came like this. And Crystal, she's very wise in how she makes connections. Shout out to Crystal. And I know
Yes.
that from previous connections, and vice versa, we respect each other very much in how intentional we try to be about connecting people. And so if she sends someone my way, I know I need to figure it out, connect, and I know something beautiful will happen. But this was beyond, honestly, beyond my dreams and expectations for sure. So this was really a beautiful godsend. I would definitely say a godsend.
I think,
We were at a dinner and with Crystal and some
yes,
other women. We were just talking, networking, talking about travel, and we were talking about the students, and we were looking for students to take to Spain, and we were in active search of an organization. And Crystal just turned and she said, "I have somebody for you."
just like that. Just
Because
stop the conversation.
It was
Yeah.
Anna, Crystal, and me. And
Uh-huh.
she just said it. As
We
soon as
just
I
looked
get
at each
home,
other. We're
I'm
like,
sending the
okay.
email, she said.
Yeah.
So it
The
was
next
ready to
day,
go.
the next
Wow.
day there was that email, and I remember the email because she used the word change makers, connecting change makers, and I'm like, oh wow.
Right. Exactly. That stood out to me as well. She said connecting change makers. And I said, wait a minute. And I think I had to read it quite a few times because I was like, really? Like now?
Like,
Like,
Now,
oh, now?
oh, it's
Like,
like, yeah,
okay, this was okay. And I'm like, thinking in my mind, okay, Gawi Global, like I really did. That was, that
manifested.
was, I was manifested. Absolutely.
I
So,
mean,
Yes. And we've talked about it, how global travel really does fit in also with the life skills,
oh,
because some folks don't think it's a big deal, but we've talked about it. Traveling, even domestically, there is a process that has
mhm,
to take place from the moment you leave your home to the moment you arrive at the destination. It's just not an easy thing. It's not like back in the days when I was young. We used to go to the airport and we just jumped on the airplane and it was a done deal, right?
right,
Now you've got to go through 16 layers of security and you got to take off your shoes. It's just a lot. And so it could be very intimidating if
mhm,
you've never flown, especially internationally, because they ask you questions like, what's your TSA number? And what's your global number? And what's this? And if you've never, you're like, I have no idea. I'm just here with my passport. And the simple things like we just posted on the chat that, and a lot of people don't know that if your passport's going to cancel or expire within the next 6 months of your trip, you can't go. You
mhm.
just can't go. They won't let you on the airplane. So those are the things that we want to teach the students so they can be prepared to be exactly that, global travelers, where it doesn't matter if they don't speak English in their country they're going to. They've got great tools that we didn't have to try to maneuver themselves and just learn.
And
And
ideally, sorry to cut you
no,
off.
it's okay. It's okay.
Ideally, in our case, we want to send the students who we know have some experience, who've been working on their communication skills, who've been working on their problem solving skills, who have been taking the time to empower themselves to visualize things for themselves so that at minimum we know, well, they have something they can pull from when these difficult things arise as they're traveling.
well, I mean, traveling, just using the word empower and traveling right there, that's already huge. For them to use the skill sets that they've already experienced, right? And to be able now to apply them in an environment that's outside of their comfort zone. Okay, because that's going to be step 2, because you've already created the environment that's safe, that they can learn and they can kind of brainstorm with each other. Now we're going to pull them out of their comfort zone, and now we're going to go international. Now let's put you in an airport and focus straight ahead, and it's the communication, it's the problem solving. We laugh about the times that we're at the airport, and someone, I'm not going to mention names, is always concerned about how much that check-in luggage weighs, okay? Because if it's over 50 pounds, guess what? They're going to start charging you, and you're looking at about $100. Nobody wants
Right,
to pay $100. So
right.
what ends up happening? Start problem solving. And what do? You use your
Yeah.
critical thinking skills. Here, can you take this pair of shoes for me? Can you take, and it all works out at the end. But in that moment, for us, it's like just laughing all the way through. But for a child who's never done that, I could see that they would be like, okay, what do I do? I'm going to leave. No, it's okay. We're going to rearrange things. And it may sound so simple, but in that moment, you're on the hot seat. You've got an agent looking at you, and it's like, well, you're going to charge you, and you're not going to tell your mom and dad, hey, because I bought an extra souvenir, I got to pay $100. Like, that's
Right.
not going to happen. But those are just things that, once you get used to and comfortable in traveling, you start to figure things out, because we've learned, in the past 2 years, we've traveled all our lives, but in the past 2 years, we really have gained a level of expertise. I think Sandy will agree that there's so many things now we're like, that's not a big deal, right? But for other people that haven't traveled,
It
but
would make them freeze in their steps. Yeah, they
oh,
can freeze and they can just halt quickly.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's like the
I
worst
like
time,
those.
right?
I like those memes. Have you seen them when people are getting ready to travel and they're practicing and they're at the gym and they're on the treadmill with their suitcase, or they're going down the stepmaster and they're standing there just waiting. I'm like, oh my god, those are so funny because it's true. Like that's
True.
like practicing. That's like practicing. I already had a vision of taking the students to the nearby gym and doing that so we can get ready.
I
but
love it. I would say that something that I would say when if I tell someone, when you leave high school, particularly, um, a couple of things I want you to do. And for me, I didn't study abroad, and a lot of my friends did. And I was truly excited, and I really required them to send me postcards. And I have postcards that I still have to this day, for my friends at 18, and they're telling
Me
me about
too.
all their travels. And it was one thing I said, oh, I'll never, that's the regret, because it sparked something in those people. And I watched how they lived life, and some of the fearlessness that also came behind them starting to travel so early. And so that's just something that I would love to depart to young people to, if you have the opportunity, which we don't always have, but if there's a little bit, get your foot in there and go. Be afraid and still go, because it'll change your life.
Oh, yeah, because a lot of kids will hear things as adults also. Oh, you don't want to go there. They don't like Americans. Or you don't want to go there. The food sucks, or whatever it is. And we always tell people, well, you go find out. And if
Mm,
you agree with them, you'll tell them, yeah, you're right. But if you don't, then you have your own experience.
right.
People like to project their fear, like to project their dislikes onto other people, and it's not fair. And some people who are not, in my opinion, strong enough to say, no, I'm still going to do it, I'm still going to go, they don't get the chance. And then they fall behind. And then the rest of the kids, they'll go and be like, oh, we had a blast. And you're
Right.
like, what? We had a
Right.
blast. I didn't go. Like, for example, the trip to Morocco. We had a lot of folks who were wanting to go to Morocco, but because of the war that was happening and against Israel with Palestine, they felt like it was too close and they didn't want to go. And they missed out because, first of all, Morocco's on the other side of the African continent, not even close to that area. But fear kept them away from having a great experience. And that's what
Wow.
we want to teach our students is do some research, go for yourself. You can talk from experience and then, you know, it'll change your life.
Mm, I'm
see,
excited for them. I'm
uh,
excited for them.
they're going to have a blast. I mean, we're on the topic of having, what one heck of an experience. And I can tell you, you know, we want to share with the students what to expect. I mean, I don't know if they'll watch this, but for parents, I know that a lot of times when we say that we go to Cordoba, they're like, Cordoba? So it's not a Madrid and it's not a Barcelona, right? But it is a beautiful, picturesque city that you will literally walk into history.
Mm,
And it's got there's so many dynamics to Cordoba, but to me it's close to my heart, and I am a little biased because that's where my family's from. So for me it's like I go back home. But really when you step there, it's you really transformed into another kind of environment that we will never see anywhere here in the United States. You can try to see, I'm trying to think of where you can go to even try to get some history, but that's going to pull like way too many brain cells right now. Like we're not going to find it. But when you go into Cordoba, there's the beautiful mix of different cultures, and that's what's so unique about it. So Cordoba has 4 UNESCO sites, and so what we learned, and I've been going to Cordoba all my life. But what we learned is that it's very difficult to get a site to be nominated or designated as a UNESCO. Cordoba happens to be the only one, if I'm not mistaken, in the world to have complete four
wow.
ones.
That's
And, we got to go experience and see the different sites that are designated. Now, one particularly happens to be in this month of May and only happens in the month of May. It's the patios. And those are people open up their homes and they're decorated with flowers everywhere, and the scent, everything. So that in itself is going to a designated site during this time. In the summer, the streets are there, the homes are there, but the flowers are not blooming as it is. So that's one of my goals, is to go back and really pay attention to that. Unfortunately, I have to say, I'm a little embarrassed to say, I've been to Spain in May several times and I've never gone to see the patios. Don't ask me why. I'm like, with family and stuff, I'm like, I think they just think that I live there when I get there, because like they forget that I'm like, no, I really do want to see that. So that's one of my things I need to go back to do. But then the other 3 sites is going to be I don't know how to explain. I don't know. Did you ever watch Game of Thrones?
I didn't, but
Okay.
I totally understand the vibe. Like, I know it's good, and it's even saved for me to get into it.
Well, I was a little bit resistant to watching it. My son kept saying, "You got to watch it, Mom. No, do not move from here." And we finally did. I didn't even know that part of the Game of Thrones, a certain in one of the
Season 7, I
season
think it is.
season 7, they filmed on the puente, el puente romano, which is the Roman bridge. And
Oh,
the
wow.
Roman bridge is what connects the old part of Cordoba to the more newer part of Cordoba. But in the
Over the river.
there's a river, the Guadalquivir, that it goes over. Beautiful stone, just such a beautiful view to look at from far. And then when you're walking on it, you're just transcendent to another world. But
Wow.
then the backdrop is the mezquita, the mosque. And when you see that, it's breathtaking. The beautiful part is that where we're staying with the kids this summer, you actually can see that view from where we stay. So every
Oh,
day
wow.
you
Yes.
have that view looking that way. And the experience of having the kids walk around and roam and really take in the culture is just another level of what we talk about offering them an immersion program. Because yes, they do attend schools. I don't want to minimize that. They do get to attend daily classes where they'll get some language, history, culture. It's going to be a very 360 overview of Cordoba. We talk to the professors. We give them backgrounds on the students of, where they are in language. The professors do speak English. It is a classroom setting that's available to them. It's in the morning classes. Our our program ambassador, Ryan, will be accompanying the students daily from the home all the way to the classroom, and then teach them or kind of guide them. So when it's time to go eat, we're going to go and we're going to order our food. We're going to learn to work with the euros, stuff like that. That sounds very much like the life skills that we're trying to promote here, just in a different environment. So I'm excited for them because I get pleasure. I mean, Sandy and I really do get pleasure. We love going to Cordoba, but our pleasure, our purpose, our fulfillment comes when we see their faces.
Mhm.
When we see them take it, and like, first is like, what are we going to eat? That's the first question, always. Is there pizza? Well, yeah, there's pizza. I mean, I don't want to discourage anybody. They do have, I was going to say Airbnb, but it's not. What is it, Sandy, that they deliver food?
Oh, Uber Eats.
Uber Eats, because our students last year, they do have Uber Eats that you
Okay.
can order. Now, timing, hours, we have to talk about, how they operate versus how we operate. We don't, we have liberty at any time, at any hour, at any day. Not over there, but we'll talk about that with the students so that they know. But we really go out of our way to make sure that they feel comfortable in the home. We prepare the home with snacks. We have a schedule. They know exactly what to expect. We give them expectations, just like if they're in a dorm, the usual, tidy up after yourself, help with take out the trash, stuff like that. But it's really giving them a little mini college experience overseas. Sandy and I are brainstorming about how we can do this, add another flair to it so that we can surprise the kids when they arrive. I want them to feel, and I know that the feeling's mutual between Sandy and I. We want them to feel at home, even though they're in Europe.
Yes.
So I don't know. I can go on and on about Cordoba because that's just my love, but Sandy, anything I've missed, please. I really want the audience to get a clear picture of what the program's about and what these, students are about to experience.
I think that it's important for parents who are listening to really understand that this is 100% a cultural and social immersion program. We are with the people, we eat with the people, we talk with the people, we cross the bridge 16 times a day. We are in the other side of the river shopping or, grabbing knickknacks. Such a small town that I think everybody knows that we arrive around
Oh, yeah.
July and they already know the Americans are coming.
I love it.
Yeah, they already know that they were coming because, there's a lot of commotion around the corner because that's where Anna's brother-in-law lives. And so there's a lot of things happening. And so I just feel that the students will just feel once they leave. The students don't feel it when they're there because it's a little bit of a culture shock at first and then they're getting into the group. It's not until they leave that they realize, oh my God, I really love that experience. That was such a great, because it's not being in the United States and it's not a week, it's 3 weeks. So the
Right.
first week's a little bit like a shocker. Then in week 2, you're like, okay, I'm getting into the groove. Then third week, you're like, okay, I can live here. And then it's time to go home.
Yeah.
So,
Bittersweet. Like, oh man, just
yeah,
when I
exactly.
think it's time,
Exactly.
just when I can
Exactly.
hold a conversation with the man around the corner.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
chicken man, with the chicken man around the
The
corner.
chicken man around the corner who we get dinner from.
So I think that, they will be receiving bus passes and international ID, so they will be able to transport themselves around town very easily. There's apps that we use so they know that this is where we live, and wherever you go, it'll take you to these places where the mall is, where the outdoor theater is. It's just such a great place to really, it's like international travel 101. Next step after that, if they want to go to Barcelona, they want to go to Madrid, they want to go to Amsterdam, wherever they want to go, it's just they done it. They did
I
it,
love that.
and it's just the beginning of their global travel.
International Travel 101. And we're big on the 101s, right? It's planting the seeds where what all of this is to help them to launch, and not stop there, but, just to continue to grow and expand on it. So I look forward to hopefully getting postcards from the kids, not just from Spain, but when they say, hey, when we went to Spain, it inspired us. And, now I'm going here and there. And oh, I went back and we stopped in Cordoba. Like,
Yeah.
I look forward to the experience, and like you said, when they leave, how much they'll value it. I look forward to hearing those stories and just seeing how that inserts into their life story, as they journey into adulthood. So I'm
I
very
would definitely I will definitely make the effort every time we go to one of the cities to take them to the post office because I think
Yeah.
that that'll be important. So they do the postcards,
yeah.
So
Postcards
we
are
did that. We did that in the Vatican. We sent a postcard.
That will be a built-in activity that we'll have.
I
And
appreciate
Yes.
it.
So
you
Anna,
know,
tell us about the what's coming up next week, so our audience can hear how they can support our students.
so as we have, launched this beautiful partnership that we're super excited about, we are hosting our first fundraiser to help these students get to Spain. And so we want everyone to join us and have a taco night. We're going to be hosting at Taco Social in Eagle Rock. We're inviting everyone to come out and support. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have just an opportunity to, learn more about your organization, the Grace and Wisdom Institute. Talk to us specifically. If you have questions, anything that we can do to get the word out. Really, we would really appreciate all of our listeners. If you want flyers, whatever you need for us to help get the word out, please let us know. It's going to be Tuesday, May 14th from 6 to 8 p.m. Taco Social has been very great, very gracious to give us space where we can invite 100 of our closest friends. So we invite everyone to join us, please, and help sponsor these students that, are looking forward to, experiencing a 3-week cultural and social immersion program. And like Kesha mentioned, these students have been working hard towards, this experience. They've already had a lot of practice, a lot of coaching, a lot of guidance through the Grace and Wisdom Institute. So we want to be able to give them the opportunity now to use those skill sets that they've learned and implement them abroad. So please join us Tuesday, May 14th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Taco Social.
Taco Tuesdays are a real thing. I'm a big taco fan, so it's just a win-win. I mean, we got the best tacos out here, and so it's always fun to try new taco places. So if
Yes,
nothing else, just come out, meet us, and try a new taco or two.
And if
absolutely.
you can't make it,
Yes.
your support is greatly appreciated. You can go on to our website and to our social media accounts, to Two Peacocks Travel or to the Grace and Wisdom Institute, and you can see we have information about the Taco Social, and we also have a link so you can make a donation if you cannot make it. Every single penny, every single cent that is donated goes towards the travel for these students, and we are greatly appreciate the donations that are made every single day. So we're very excited about this, ladies. We're going to make this happen.
You're
Oh,
making it,
absolutely. We're making it happen.
and
And
with
then as
your
soon as
help,
this one's done, as soon as this one's done, we can start on 2025 because we
2025.
definitely want to make sure. So um, please follow us on social media. Two Peacocks Travel. Our handle is at two_peacocks_travel. We're also on YouTube and we're also on Facebook. We have a webpage. We're at www.twopeacockstravel.com, and we have all the information about our trips. And Kesha, tell us what your handle is and where they can find more information about the Grace and Wisdom Institute.
thank you. We're also friends on Instagram. We're at Grace and Wisdom Institute, and our website is graceandwisdominstitute.org. And that's where we hang out. You can find us there.
Woohoo!
Hey. Oh, and you know what? We're also on LinkedIn. We both are.
Oh, we are.
Oh,
Yes, we
that's
We're on
are.
right.
LinkedIn. So
Both on
definitely same under the Grace and Wisdom Institute and under
correct.
Two Peacocks Travel. So we trying to cover all of our platforms. And then in any case, if you can't get a hold of us from one of the platforms, you have a variety. You can always DM us. That's like the quickest way that just send us a quick DM. We're really good about responding.
Absolutely. Again,
Well,
we're just really grateful for the partnership and that you have the heart to want to send these kids on a trip that you shared some statistics that, a lot of times there's a barrier, and students who are completely capable and well deserving don't always get the opportunity. Um,
absolutely.
and so we want to make that happen for them. So we thank you so much.
So thank you, Kesha, for coming on and being on our podcast. We're so excited. I know that for a fact we'll be doing a podcast from Spain. So then maybe we'll interview some of the kids while we're
Yeah,
all there so they
that
can
would
tell
be
us about their
amazing.
experience.
Oh, that would be
Yes.
amazing. I can't wait.
Well, thank you so much. And everyone, have a good night. Until next time, thank you, Peacock.
Thank you. Everybody get some rest.
Bye.
And buy your ticket.
Yeah, buy your ticket.
Bye. Good night.